G'day guys, just about to change the oil in my BMW automatic gearbox, which they say is sealed for life, but that's bullshit. This plastic plug here hides a drain, or actually a filling hole, which is recessed up into the gearbox sump. At the front here is the drain plug. When you do remove this, a certain amount of oil will come out of there, because it's, when you check the level, when you fill it back up, the engine's got to be running, so the oil is circulating around through the torque converter, etc. You need to use the right sort of oil, and when you do fill it, you've got to warm it up to a certain temperature. I think it's 30 to 50 degrees C, with the engine running, and the oil level should be just level with the top of this well here. That's the theory. To get that undone, I've made this tool, which is just a bolt welded through a bit of pipe, so that fits up into there, and you can get plenty of purchase on that to get it undone. But you want to make sure you can get that undone first before you take the sump off and drain the oil, because if you can't get it out, you can't refill it. Once you've loosened that off, which I'll do now, which I've already done, but I'll get it here somewhere. You can then use just a bolt with the same head, which is 17mm across the flats, to remove that plug. I've already had it out, so not much oil should come out of it this time, which it doesn't. And there's probably a good litre or so came out of there when I took the plug out the first time. Anyway, next will be to undo the drain plug at the front and allow that to drain as well. And I'll come back when we get round to taking the sump off, and we'll have a look, see what's inside there. Catch you then. Okay, I've temporarily put the big plug back in the back. And I didn't mention before that this is a ZF gearbox, 5-speed, and it's out of a 323i E36. So, undo this plug here. Hopefully oil will come out of it. Yeah. So we'll leave that for quite a while, just to drain out, and I'll get back to you with the next episode. Well, g'day, I'm back. As luck would have it, while waiting for the oil to drain out of the gearbox and the beamer, I just received this parcel from eBay, and it's the triple airbag jack that I've been waiting for. I ordered about a week ago. So once I've assembled it, we'll do a product review as well as jack the beamer up a bit higher, so I can get under it a little bit easier to change the gearbox oil. Anyway, I'll be back once I've assembled the jack. See you then. Okay, it's a new Vevor triple airbag air jack. Is now assembled and ready to try out. It's about, when it's down, it's about 140, and we'll whip her up. And when she's up, we're looking at as good as 400. Not too bad a capacity. Remains to be seen how it lifts the car, which we'll do shortly. Back in a moment. Okay, I'm all set up with the help of a few blocks of wood. We'll give her a whirl and see how she lifts it up. Okay, that's got it up another couple of inches. Made it fairly easy. It's a little bit jerky in operation, but that's the first time it's been used, so we'll see how it goes from there. I'll be back when we're going to drop the sump off the gearbox. See you then. Well, good morning. It's another day, and it just happens to be federal election day. And with a bit of luck, we might see everybody's mate Scotty disappearing into the distance, never to be seen again. You never know. Anyway, on with the vid. I decided it was a pretty good idea to measure how much oil came out of the gearbox to give me a bit of a heads up on what I needed to actually get back in there. So we'll have a look and see how much is here. That's 1 litre. I'll cut the vid here and I'll come back when I finish measuring. Well, not as much oil came out as I thought there would be. There's only about 4 litres, and I think the gearbox total capacity is about 6. So the torque converter and the valving etc. must take or hold a couple of litres that doesn't come out when you drain it through the sump. Anyway, that's good to know. So onward. I'm going to jack the rear of the car up a bit higher to match the front so everything's sitting fairly level, and I'll take the sump off. See you then. Well, I'm back under here. I'll take this sump off. Got a little bit more room now to manoeuvre. I've got all the bolts out except 2, so we'll take those out and we'll see if we can get this dropped down. Drop that down on the drips. These lots off. Well, that's the filter, which I've got a new one to put on there. I think I'll let it drip for a little bit. Then I'll come back and undo that filter. To remove the filter, there's 3 star keys. One there, and one up here. Ripped on. Ah, you mongrel. More oil in there. I need some clean rags. I shall return. Okay, we just replace this filter. And I think the amount of oil that came out, I took the filter off and the sump off, and there's still some retained in the sump. Add that to the 4 litres that came out originally. I'd say I'm going to have to put in around about 5 litres to bring the level back to where it should be. I'll put a little bit of lube on this seal here. Right, a little bit of oil on this filter. Let's see if we can get this in here. Don't over tighten them. Right, so now it's just a matter of cleaning up the sump, put the new gasket on, bung it up, screw it up in reverse order that it came down, and we should be ready to refill with oil. Okay, sump bolted back up, no problems. Filled with oil with the engine stopped until it overflows out of the big hole. Then you start the engine and keep filling until it overflows again. And then you need to warm the gearbox up to between 30 and 50 degrees. Pull that plug out and check the level again, and then that should be it, we hope. Well, that's it, folks. Job's done. I didn't video the last section of the oil filling because it has to be done with the engine running and the fumes I didn't particularly want to spend too much time underneath the car in those conditions. But I'll talk you through the sequence. With the motor off, you fill the gearbox up to the filler hole until it overflows. Then you start the engine and continue pumping oil until it overflows again. Then put the plug in and warm the gearbox up to over 30 degrees. And when you pull the plug out, because of expansion, about half a cup or so of oil will come back out of the hole. When that's drained out, you can put the plug back in and seal it up for good. What I did to get the oil in, I made a small adapter out of a copper elbow and a bit of plastic pipe, which goes onto the end of the pump. And then you stick that up through the filler hole, and because of this little angle, it'll blow the oil into the gearbox instead of onto the garage floor. Most of it anyway. Used Fuchs Titan ATF 4134, it's a ultra high performance ATF. And now all I've got to do is jack it down and take it for a test drive. Let's hope everything goes well. See you again.